If I wanted to make $1 million in my coaching business next month, here's exactly what I would do. So if you're stuck right now, you're plateauing, you're at 100K, even 500,000, even $700,000, and you can't get past it, in this video, I'm gonna be showing you the different strategies that we use with our clients to do $1 million plus per month, all the way up to $4 million a month. And if you're new here, my name is Michael. I am not a coach, but I own a marketing agency that works with coaches and consultants, and we help you do $1 million plus a month. And this channel is dedicated to showing you all the different strategies that we've learned over the last decade so that you can do the same thing. So if you're feeling stuck right now and you can't break out of whatever revenue plateau, or you're feeling like you're contracting and going down, it's really hard to decide what to do next, because what got you to where you're at is probably not going to get you to the next level, right? And most of the time when I'm seeing that people are starting to contract, it's because they've really leaned on organic, right? Like organic is such a badass thing to have, but when it stops working, you can't figure out how to get it amped back up, right? Because it's not as predictable. It's not like paid ads. So for me, I'm a very big paid ads guy. That's all we do for clients. We run all of their ads. So we don't really come in when everything is great and dandy on the organic side. Nobody wants to jump into paid ads and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars a month to make similar revenue as they did organic. But when organic starts to drop, that's when people start to panic and they start to think about paid ads, start to think about webinars or VSLs or DM ads or whatever that may be. So you're trying to increase that revenue back up, right? And so I'm going to share basically what we've learned over the last decade on how we can help our clients, how we help them scale, how we decide what to actually choose depending on their business so that they can start to stack these different wins and stack the revenue so they can hit consistent months. So they're not relying on crossing their fingers for a post to go viral or for people to DM them, right? And so I'm gonna jump in right here and we'll go through those. So the easiest way to make $1 million a month is not to rely on one single strategy. It's to stack a bunch of different strategies. So each strategy has to do a couple $100,000. It makes it much easier, and it actually makes it really predictable and not easy, but a lot more simple to reach $1 million plus a month, right? And so right now in your business, like where are you, right? Like how much are you making and what are you making it from? If most of the time, like I said, when people come to me, they're like doing Instagram and their Instagram has just popped off, it's doing great. And let's say they were at, $500,000 a month, right? And then that started to drop. It went to 450, it went to 4, now it's at 350, now it's at 3, right? And they're like, oh my gosh, they're panicking because now they're only making 300, they're making almost 50% less, they've got more expensive, they hired more staff, and they're sitting around like that 300, right? And so what I always recommend is figure out different strategies you can stack together so you're not reliant on just one. This also happens with paid ads or one specific webinar where you're relying on one thing, and if it stops performing, you're completely stuck, right? And so there's a video that I just did about $3.6 million a month and how we helped our client. And if you go back to that video, you can actually see all the different strategies that we stacked in order to make the 3.6. It wasn't just one. We didn't just run some big webinar that made 3 million or ran one topic every week that made the 3.6 million. It was a combination of all of these little things that stacked together to accumulate over 3.6, right? And so the first thing that you want to do is, in my opinion, I think doing a live webinar. Obviously, this whole channel is about webinars, but webinars are one of the safest and most effective ways to actually like scale and get a nice chunk of revenue, right? And if you're running, let's say you're not even running ads yet. If you're consistently doing organic, where you're getting people through your DM, they're booking calls. Yeah, let's say, like for example, you're making like that 200K from it, but you could literally add a webinar to that, and you can take your 200 and add another 200 here, right, with a webinar. And so live webinars are really good for taking a different type of person. There's often times when you're looking at, let's say, like I said, most people are doing the DMs, right? Somebody doesn't want to just DM you and they know they're going to get sold and they have to like DM. They want to just show up to a presentation and like learn a little bit more. And so this allows you to get a different pocket of people. So the first thing that I recommend in your business right now, if you're not doing it already, is a weekly webinar, right? And so weekly webinar is a great way to stack $20, $50, $100,000 per week per webinar, right? This is one of the fastest ways to scale, especially if you're kind of feeling plateaued, you haven't started this yet, or you're only really leaning on organic. A weekly webinar is great. Now, I don't necessarily recommend blasting your organic audience with a weekly webinar all the time. This is meant more for paid ads. And so this allows you to run it and not burn out your audience outside of this and drive in literally like one weekly webinar can do up to $1 million a month. I feel you get a little capped right there. You can get past, but that's kind of like the ceiling, but you can get to $1 million a month just with a really good paid ad strategy with a weekly webinar. Now, the cool thing about running a weekly webinar is that you can also do this organically in a very casual way. So at the end of your organic post, you can just add a CTA on 3 or 4 of them, maybe a week. Let's say you're posting twice a day. a CTA that drives to your DMs, and it's to a webinar, right? So straight to a webinar from the DMs. And the really cool thing about this, if you're consistently doing this every single week, is that if you get a viral post, that post will go for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and you're doing a weekly one. So when they DM you, they just pop into whatever the next week is. DM you, pop into whatever the next week is. And this is a way that you don't necessarily like burn out, promote to your audience super direct, right? This is one of those more casuals. You make one of those value posts, and at the end, if you want to learn more about this, comment the word blank and I'll send you a link to the training I'm doing this week, right? Very casual. This works really, really well. And so you get twofold with this. You get one, the paid ads that are scaling. Two, you get an opportunity, if you go viral, to have all of these new people that don't know who you are, that act as paid ads for free. Remember, you're not paying for them when you go viral, to hop into this weekly webinar as well. An amazing opportunity, in my opinion, that should at least boost your revenue by 20 to 50%, relatively quick too. So let's just say in this scenario, you've got your 200K, and now a webinar is able to add another 300K. Now you're looking at a $500,000 month, right? So the second thing is a once a month event. Now this is one of those big events, right? This isn't necessarily your typical boring, like, I don't want to call it boring, but like your regular weekly webinar, like your normal topic. You're going to turn this into a 2 to 3 day event. And this one is where you promote really, really, really hard to your organic audience, where they're okay with being promoted once a month with this brand new webinar, this 2 or 3 day. And one of the cool things about this is that if you consistently change up the topics or rotate through, let's say, 2 or 3 different topics, then all of your existing followers that have already seen the promotion last month will feel like it's something new, right? And so think about that too. If you start to feel a little bit of burnout from doing like these events, then just change up the topic. You can literally say the same thing, right? Just tweak the topic, rewrap it, and now it's a different webinar. And all of the people who already saw it once will come again. Because I will tell you this, like time and time again, we run a bunch of weekly webinars for clients, and sometimes we don't even change them, right? This is from a paid ad standpoint. People show up 3, 4, 5 times to the same webinar over and over and over. And so when you change the topic, it's brand new, whether they show up learning the same thing or not. People just need to see it over and over and over, build that trust with you, right? And so once a month, you can do this paid event. So it's 2 or 3 day event. It can be a challenge. It can be like a workshop, whatever it is. And then what you're going to do is you promo organic, right? You can promo to your email list, and you can also run ads. So this allows you to do all of them at once. This alone, we've done webinars like this that have done over 1 million just by themselves, right? But typically something like this, if you're able to promote it to a good audience, you're able to run ads alongside of it, it's going to bring in an additional 30 to 50% in revenue, right? And so if you're doing, let's just say $200,000 a month, this thing right here will drive in at least 100K for you, right? And so in this scenario, again, we've got 200, we've got 300, we're sitting at 500. This thing right here, I almost guarantee is another $300,000. And now you're sitting at $800,000 for the month. And you're not necessarily like leaning on one strategy here. You see how like these things compound, they compound next to each other, and they drive the entire bucket of revenue, right? And so we're sitting at 800, we got to find another 200. So number 3, we're going to do a cleanup webinar. Now a cleanup webinar essentially is you're really just trying to clean up all of the leads that are on the fence. They're this close to closing. Most of these people are literally from like your sales team. There are people that filled out an application or booked a call, maybe didn't show up to that call, and you're running this special little like cleanup webinar. It's more of like a Q&A, right? And so this is a Q&A where you're inviting these people to almost just experience you at a Q&A. Come ask all your questions. It's a very like casual type of thing. You're not making it like a normal like sales pitch, right? You're making it this casual event. You can also do it on Zoom, which is really cool because then they can actually see faces and it doesn't feel like it's your typical webinar. But this right here as a cleanup, if you grab your sales team's leads, like these are people that are on the fence. They said, oh yeah, let me think about it. Gotta talk to my wife, or like I'm on the fence, I'm thinking about it. Hey man, why don't you come to the Q&A and hang out with the personal brand or the coach and ask them questions directly. See how it is, right? This cleanup webinar, it's not a huge needle mover, just to be clear. It's not going to be something that's going to drive in 300, 400, 500,000, because it's not something that you can go out and get cold audience like a paid ad and just keep running and running. But it's when you build up this audience and you continue to run ads, you're getting more people to webinars and you're getting more people to book calls, you build a bigger and bigger and bigger list. And you do this once a month where you can privately invite everybody who's on the fence or really close and say, hey, come to this private Q&A. Ask all your questions. It's going to be very intimate, and usually you're only getting probably like a couple hundred people on this, but there are a couple hundred of the right people that are on the fence that are going to convert if they just have a little bit extra push, right? And so you're going to get like 200-ish on this, depending on how many people you've had, but this right here alone will probably drive in an extra 100K if you're looking at this scenario right here, right? And so now you're seeing this compound, this stack of adding these different things that don't compete with each other, but they align really well to drive in extra revenue. And not last but not least here, number 4 is a retargeting VSL, right? And so if you notice, I haven't really gone into like these really aggressive cold strategies. Like you could run a cold VSL that can drive in a bunch more revenue, but you're going to be dealing with a different level of person, a colder person that's not as easy to close. Like these strategies that I'm talking about here are more like easier to implement, that you can literally stack within the next 30 to 60 days and produce a result. If you're looking at a cold VSL or these really aggressive like cold strategies you've never run before, this is where it gets a little bit more difficult, obviously, and it's going to take a little bit more tweaking and massaging. But a retargeting VSL is you can take a VSL, a video that you've already created that you maybe been using organic, and you just retarget every single person who's interacted with an ad, clicked an ad, booked a call, visited the webinar, showed up to the webinar, like anybody like that. If you've done all of these strategies right here, this VSL is like literally like a cleanup retargeting VSL. And all it's doing is taking some of these warmer people who may not have moved forward and purchased, and now giving them another opportunity to come into your world in a different way, right? And so for us, we run a lot of webinars, right? And what a retargeting VSL allows us to do is say, hey, instead of you showing up to a whole nother webinar or having to like just, like get sold by a sales guy, like he's texting you and whatnot, like you can watch this short 10-minute video and book a call with our team directly. You don't have to go to another webinar. You have to deal with all that stuff, right? And so it's another way of capturing that audience that is a little bit warmer. Like we're not talking about going after people who have no idea who you are. We're going after the hottest people that showed up to a webinar, that became a lead for a webinar, that have been interacting with you, DMing you, and giving them an opportunity to self-book, right? And so these work really well for retargeting leads, retargeting web shows, and DMs. All the people that are already warm enough so where your sales team isn't complaining that they have no idea who you are, they don't know what this is about. This is just a warm retargeting VSL. This one right here should easily be able to bring you an extra $100,000. And so between all of these, and so you've got your 100, you've got your 100 here from the second one, you've got your 300 from the big one that you've done this month. You've also got your 300 from the weekly webinars that you started running, 300. And at the very, very top, you've got your initial 200 that you started with. So you didn't have to disrupt your current strategy. And now you're looking at a $1 million month. Now, to be clear, it's obviously not this easy. This is just some math on an iPad here. But you can see, though, that the compounding of the right strategies without really putting a lot of strain and pressure on your team and everything, implementing these can literally take your business from $200,000-$300,000 a month all the way to $1 million a month in a matter of a month, 2 months, maybe 3 months, right? And so obviously there's a lot more nuance to this. We've made a lot of different videos on different strategies, different webinars, webinar setups, evergreens, and things like that. Feel free to go check them out. But if you're in that position where you're feeling stuck, you're feeling like you're contracting, try some of these right here. And I almost guarantee you, if you don't hit $1 million, you'll at least double your revenue with these. All right. So hopefully this was helpful, and we'll see you next time.